All Valley Rooter, Jared LaBarba, friend of the show, childhood friend, Never Again Studios official plumber. 24-hour emergency services. 610-762-1656. That's 610-762-1656. They charge by the job, not by the hour, and they are 100% fully insured. They have free estimates. They also do installation and repair. They have a list of things. I can't go over them all on here, but you can find them at allvalleyrouter.net. All of Jared's services are on there. It's a beautiful website. You can contact him through that website. You can find out how to do, emergency services. Where should I call? Who should I contact? You can get all that there at allvalleyrouter.net. Free estimates, fully insured. Jared LaBarba. Check him out. Banco Beverage. Proudly serving the Lehigh Valley for over 80 years. It's 80 years. Say it with me. 80 years. It's a long time. Over 30 plus breweries distributed, including Miller, Yuengling, Pabst, Guinness, Heineken, plus a generous variety of imported and specialty brands. They are located at Crackersport Road in Allentown, PA. Can't get any more local than that, Lehigh Valley. Banco Beverage is locally owned, operated since 1933. They have an exceptional team of staff dedicated to making their customers happy. If you're interested in having Banco be your purveyor for whatever bar or establishment you own, you can go to www.bancobeverage.com. I have the information in the ads as well, and I want to thank Banco for coming on and being a sponsor. Myself and Tony are working on some projects, and we are going to be bringing some really cool content, as well as Banco is going to be providing for a lot of the things that we do event-wise. So thank you, Banco, again. Thank you, Tony, and check out Banco Beverage. Giacomo's Italian Market. What an awesome relationship that has blossomed between Never Again Studio and Giacomo's Italian Market. We've been working with them with Studio Kitchen. We've been doing their Italian sausage and going to pop-ups with them. I love Sal. I love all the guys over there. It's always awesome collaborating. And you should go check them out. They got specialty Italian items. They're famous for the cheesesteak, the sausage. I can't even list everything because everything over there on that menu is fantastic. It's a home run. They are in Easton, PA, 700 Cattell Street. That's 700 Cattell Street in Easton, PA. They are over by College Hill. It's a dope area to check out. You need to go there. They got plenty of inside seating. They got all kinds of specialty Italian things off to the side, a pasta, vodka sauce. I usually just go there because I'm not making it as good as Sal. So I pick up my vodka sauce and, I say, what's up? We got some oils and all kinds of different things. But I can't say nothing but positive things over at Giacomo's. If you know them, you know them. If you don't know them, you're crazy and you need to get over there. That's 700 Cattell Street in Easton. That's Giacomo's Italian Market. Tell Sal what's up. The Curious Plantaholic, located in Nazareth and Clinton, New Jersey. The Nazareth location was opened first, and I met Jenny. We immediately hit it off. I knew we would start working on projects. She is the energy and the breath of fresh air that Nazareth needs. I started buying plants off of her, went down a rabbit hole. Now I got a bunch of plants I got to take care of. I'm trying my hardest. People are helping me. What an awesome shop for plants, retail. The energy in there is amazing. The employees in there are amazing. It's a plant and supply store focused on connecting with local communities, and boy, do they do a fantastic job at that. I can't say enough about these guys. You need to go to their locations and check them out, but they also have plants for sale online. It's thecuriousplantaholic.com, and right now they have two locations, which is Nazareth, and the other one is Clinton, New Jersey. Please check them out, and you can get more information at curiousplantaholic.com. I'm going to be working with Jenny on some other projects as well, so you will see us kind of creating a vibe and some things going on in Nazareth. We're really going to help kind of revitalize and get some things going on in Nazareth. So if you want to, please check out the Curious Plantaholics in Nazareth. Support local, support us. They support the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on as a sponsor. It's going to be easy. Never Again Radio episode. Who knows? We did it. You're here. We're recording. Thank you for coming all the way to the beautiful town of Nazareth. You said there was a scuffle outside as soon as you pulled up?
There was a bit of a scuffle. A woman and a man, they were really going at it.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
I wish I would have caught it.
With a police officer just standing just a half a block away.
Yeah, I love to record that stuff and put it on and put hashtag Nazareth. We've known each other for so long. Our relationship has grown over the years. There's so much cool stuff we've done together, and I want to peel it back to even before we met. But how did you get into pizza?
We started going to different shops and following different pizzas around, trying to see what styles we liked. We ended up, when Pizza John was doing some pop-ups, he was doing them at Imprint and some other places. So we would follow him. And at that point, he was making a really good pizza that we enjoyed. It was at good breweries. So as we followed him and with the kids growing, we're like, all right, we don't have time for this on the weekends anymore. I'm going to start dabbling and making some dough and see how we do. Started making some dough and just kept going on about it, and we just kept growing.
It becomes an obsession. We went through a similar thing with the bagel. Because I remember I started reaching out to the pizza guys. I reached out to you. I reached out to Angelo. And then I started asking about flours. And like when you start getting in to like the science behind it, and like you start becoming obsessed with why doesn't this taste like something I've had similar, or you wanted to go in a direction of it, it becomes a never-ending rabbit hole that I feel like it's impossible to get out of.
Honestly,
when did you know it like bit you?
Just after the first few pizzas. Yeah, honestly, after the first few, it was I have a personality where I want it to be as good as it can be, the best that it can be, and we're still I'm never happy. Like we've been off now for a little bit, and I've still tweaking dough, and I don't think I'll ever stop. And everyone that pursues it in an obsessive form, kind of like we do, I don't think you'll ever stop. Same with the bagel. Same with, your burger. You're always thinking, what can I do better?
It's good and bad, because it's like when you're not happy with it, because I've fed so many people and I'm like, and they're like, dude, this is the best burger I've ever had. And I'll be like, thanks. And I don't ever like take that as, I mean, it happens that when you take it on the road and you have so many people talking about your food, it just becomes a time where you just start accepting the compliments, even though you might not be, because it's not where you want it to be, even though it's way past your standard of like, hey, this is good enough to sell it. Because I feel like when you get into a business similar to what we do, you get to a point where you're like, okay, I can sell this now. But then you're not happy with it at I can sell it. You're still trying to make it like, man, this is fucking awesome. So it's like good and bad, where it's like I don't take any compliments on anything because I'm always trying to make it better. Like even the last time I made the mayo, I was like, had a Vitamix, which like changes the whole thing to make, like now I can make the mayo into something totally different than what it was. And I remember I did it wrong, and like it just turned into salad dressing. I didn't realize like Vitamixers are that strong. Like their low setting is the highest of my Ninja. So like when I was getting into that, I was like, oh man, like this is I'm still never not trying to make it a better product.
Yeah. I agree with you 100% there, and I don't think it's a bad thing, and it's not that we're not satisfied with our product. We are, but I always feel you can strive for something better.
Because like we'll do a pop-up and you'll be like, the dough, I don't like it today. And then I'll eat the pizza and I'll be like, dude, this is awesome.
And one of the ways I gauge when I'm with you, my pizza, and I don't even know if you realize you do it, when you'll taste it, you'll do a little jig.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's when I know it's good.
Yeah, I do that with Gina's Goods, and if it's something that I hit perfect, I'll dance a little.
Yeah, I get it.
Because sometimes I'll be like, this is the only time I've smiled because I'm dead inside. It's like food is what moves that meter for me the most. It's why I'm opening what I am and doing the things I do, and I'm around people like you. When did you know that like you were gonna turn? Because like, all right, you start making it, you become obsessed with it, and you know, when did you start giving it to people, and it starts you're thinking about turning it into a business?
So we started giving it to family and friends, and there was family members that started to push and say, hey, why don't you try to sell this? There's a lot of stuff going on. And then I actually talked to Dave from Pizza John, and he's like, hey man, give it a go. Just give it a go. There's a lot of people in the pizza industry that will give support a lot, don't give a lot of direction, which is good because you need to figure this stuff out yourself.
Yeah.
We've met a lot of people on our travels who are very supportive of different businesses, but they're not going to give you the blueprint to a business.
Yeah.
So we started, again, it was right around COVID. We started with making pizzas, putting them out on the porch, people picking them up, all Instagram, pretty much we tethered into Facebook a little bit later, but mostly Instagram. And that's kind of where we went and how we grew, and really no marketing except Instagram.
I always liked, because when I met you, I was like, I think doing Food Fight, and I was like getting different things. It might have been a little bit before that, but I started bringing food people on because I had Angelo on, and then Angelo made food with me here, and then he talked about pop-ups, and then I started noticing pop-ups, and then I think we started talking, and then when I met you, you were like, yeah, the neighborhood like bullied me into selling pizza, which I always thought was the coolest thing ever, where like you fed them and then they were like, hey, we want more.
Yeah.
We want more. We're having a Super Bowl party. Make us pizza.
Yeah.
That was like, what was that like to have like a demand for something that nobody really knew about?
As we look back on it now, we kind of developed a speakeasy pizza business without even knowing we were going into that.
Yeah.
It was kind of, if you knew, you knew.
I liked that. That was the most appealing thing for me about it.
It kind of still, we are still like that, and I do like that. If we don't announce stuff super far out, but you have to watch our social media to know what we're doing or where we are or what we're gonna do. It was, and it was more, you get a little surprise, like, okay, wow, all these people want to eat this. Is it? And then that's where same with the burger, you're questioning yourself. Is it that good? Is it this good?
Yeah.
Is it that good? What can I do better? And then it just turns into a, straight obsession.
It's crazy. I remember when we met, it was at a time when it was COVID. So like, I remember I drove down and you were like, hey, I'm going to make you pizza. I didn't realize you were making me everything that you had on the menu because it was so crazy to me. And then we sat on your back porch and we were like, didn't know how to like essentially eat with each other because there was like these restrictions going on.
Yeah, it was weird.
And I remember I was like, yo man, like I really gotta piss. I was like, and then you're like, all right, let me ask Jess. And I didn't even know who Jess was at that point.
Yeah.
I've not met your family, and it's just me and you on a back porch, 8 pizzas, and we're supposed to be sitting away from each other. And it's such a weird way to have met and then become friends, because it was like so odd. But I remember the first time I tasted it, I was like, man, like this is something that's not in the Valley. This is something that is needed so much. And I remember like a lot of conversations we had is what drove essentially the path of food for me, and then like us working together. And that was always something so cool, that was like, I just came to your house to try pizza, and then like I started coming as a customer, and then like I thought that whole experience of the speakeasy thing was like what made you guys Local Stone. Like it was this product that was like blowing everything else out of the water, in my opinion. And to me is perhaps the best pizza in the valley, with maybe a couple of other people trying to do something on a high level where you could be like, yeah, that's really good. But from that time I had it up until now, in my opinion, it's the best pizza you can get around here. And then for you guys to be selling it off of a porch was like so my style, where like you're doing something so big and heavy and then you're just like releasing it in this like different path than others. Because I think a lot of people, if they had what you would have, they would have jumped in the brick and mortar immediately and would have just taken on this monster that would have either ruined it or essentially not been what you guys are today.
Yeah, if we would have tried to go that type of route, we're still not there. It would have consumed us.
Yeah.
It definitely would have consumed us. I remember that day sitting on our back porch, and it was the height of COVID, and it was weird. And we have 8 pizzas out there, and I'm sure we had beers out there.
You were bringing beers out to pair it with, and then you had the dessert one too.
Yes.
Because it was fall.
Yes. But that was but I remember you talking about, at that point you were sick of food and done cooking.
Yeah. I worked for somebody. I won't ever say who it was, but I worked for somebody. I love cooking. I love being in a kitchen. I love the people that cook in a kitchen. I love the wild atmosphere. I love the stress. I love digging out of tickets. It's why I love being over at Giacomo's now. It's what has been preparing me to open my own thing. I've always loved that. It was something that I was good at, and I didn't have a background. I didn't have an education. I fucked off my whole life, and I ended up in a kitchen, and I was good at it, and I liked it, and it was something that I was finally proud about as a profession, where I would go out with my friends who had real jobs, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm a line cook. And then there was always like this interesting conversation. And then I remember Bourdain came out, and then I had somebody to compare, hey, like, this guy's a line cook. And then, like Action Bronson was another big one for me. And I'm sure you have people like that you kind of like, I don't feel bad about my profession because these people have done it on such a high level. There's a road to success.
Yes.
And I remember I was doing Never Again, and I wanted to be, I didn't know what I wanted at that point. And I had somebody really take advantage of me and really take, you know how I am. So like I give. And when you have somebody take advantage of that, you end up hating something you love. A lot of people do it in breakups. Like you'll talk to older people and they're like, I'm never getting married again. Yeah. You let somebody else ruin something that you love. And I let somebody do that. And I didn't do it for 4 or 5 years. I burned my cooking clothes when I was done. Yeah. Like done with that. Went out to my dad's chimenea that he burns VHS tapes in. And I threw my my cooking stuff in it. And I swore to myself that I would never put myself in a position like that again. Now, it wasn't that I disliked the love and the craft for it and the things that we're friends that at a core, the cooking things that we love. It was I let somebody else ruin that for me. And when I started working with you and Angelo and saw that path to doing, like, you inspired me so much with the pop-ups where I was like, wait. And then I remember Angelo being like, yeah, he's like, I can control my day and I can control what I want. And this is how many pizzas I'm making. And then I had a similar conversation with you. And then when that opened up and then I realized that I could cook for myself, that's when everything changed. And like it was pretty much when we sat down and started talking, because I hated cooking.
Yeah.
Which is nuts to look back on, because I feel like that's such a passion and such a creative lane for me that I let somebody else ruin.
I agree. And it, through our friendship, our relationship, it's been great to see you come back to you're super excited.
I never would have.
You're super excited about food.
Yeah.
Super excited.
It's a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
It's an outlet. It's if I'm in a bad mood, I can, especially when this place was hooked up, I used to come down here and like, when I used to, I think like why I went out of here so bad is like, this was like a testing place. Like, you know what I mean? Like I developed the burger down here. Like, you know what I mean? Like I fed my friends for UFC fights. Like I feel like there's nothing left to do here. And like that's why I want to like get out and like get running in a new direction, because what's going to happen? I built this entire thing off of camping equipment in a basement. Like, you know what I mean? Like what happens when we have a kitchen? What happens when we have that oven? What happens when I have a dough divider? What happens when we got that mixer? Like there's so much success and opportunity and even like growth to come down the road. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you saw that like starting out and like, let's rewind to there, because, we met each other, and you're now just kind of doing these pickups, and the neighborhood's attacking you for food, and like your following's growing. When did you start taking it on the road? Because I feel like I don't know what was going on at the time when we started doing it, but I feel like there wasn't that many people doing the pop-ups and like the food trucks at the wineries and all that stuff. There was like a core of us who started at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Why Not Burgers was there. It was me. It was you. There was a couple of other pizza guys that would come around, and you would just start seeing the same people kind of being at. And then it seemed like there was 5 or 6 of us that were kind of running the gauntlet for 2 years.
I feel the same. Especially, so the pop-up scene, I have to give credit to what put us on the map. Besides, when you came out, you put a lot of stuff on social media. We started to social media, obviously friends and neighbors starting to like local Stone stuff and sharing it. But the owners of Union and Finch had our pizza. They found out about us on
I forgot
Instagram.
you were in bars before you hit the road.
Yeah, so they had our pizza.
I don't know who else was really doing that at the time.
And they posted on Instagram that this may be the best pizza in the valley.
Now that I remember, Ed is the reason that we started talking.
Yes.
Ed is the reason because Ed... I don't know if Ed came down here for a podcast or I texted Ed and I'm like, because he was putting up the pizza and I go, is the pizza really that good? And he goes, it's the best pizza you can have. He's like, go try it. And then that's what I think linked us up originally. I forgot it was fucking Ed from Union and Finch.
It was.
Because you were doing stuff with Union and Finch at the time. That was so long ago.
It's funny because we had friends back in Northeast PA where we lived, Cuttingham Brewery. So when we moved down to the valley, I really liked Mark's stuff up there, and I did some stuff for him down here, got him into some places, and one of them was Union and Finch. So that's where I developed my relationship with those guys, and they had Mark on tap for a bit there, Cuttingham Brewery. His beers are fantastic. I think he's back rolling now. I think he had a little bit of a shutdown during COVID, but so through that, I built a relationship with those guys, and then they tried our pizza, and then from there we did the local Stone burger because we wanted to do a collab with them. So we did the local Stone burger there. That was the first time it was done there. And we also did like pizza pickups from Union and Finch. It was a burger and a pizza, and that's from there. It just kind of...
Was he still doing Kenny's Fried Chicken at that point? Because he had us come in with the bagel. Like I feel like they do bring people in every so often.
I think he started Kenny's Fried Chicken maybe the year after.
Yeah,
we did. It's been a while. Like it's been a couple of years since we did the local Stone burger there. That was one of the first ones. Kind of kicked off his burger of the month.
Yeah,
it was close. It was around there when he started that burger of the month. And that was one of them.
That's right.
Yeah. So those guys were supportive, fantastic, great relationship with them. And then we just started branching out and building. Breweries reached out, hey, would you come here? Would you come there?
Yeah.
So we started that scene. And honestly, my previous career had the pop-ups are, some could be super stressful. But the stress that I've dealt with in the past,
that's what made like what I was talking about with like working for somebody, or you're in a very high level kitchen, doing a pop up, as stressful as it seems, is nothing.
No. I mean,
that's what was appealing for me is out of all the people that I thought I would end up partnering with, asking Gina to do it. And then Gina being like, you can get me out of the house. And like, that was the selling point where she was like, saw this pocket to like get away.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just need you to do the front of the house. And shout out to Zach and JM. They pushed at that time. They started bringing the tournaments around again. And I was full on in cooking, but I was scared to do a pop-up. And I remember you always just being like, just do one. And then my buddy Dave Reifendeifer bought me a Blackstone, the Blackstone that I had.
I remember that. Yeah.
I've only like cried 2 times when people gave me stuff. Once it was my mom bought me Final Fantasy when I was drunk for Christmas, and my brothers still make fun of me for it. And that is when Dave gave me that, because it meant so much to me, because it's like I've been building everything that everyone sees with no money, and any money that comes in invests back into it, and I've sacrificed a lot with my personal stress and my personal life because of that. So like I couldn't afford a Blackstone at that time. And like I would have had to start moving some things around, and it would have been like a 3 to 6 month timeline to get on the road. And he called me over and was like, hey, do you want to have a beer? And he goes, put this in your car before my wife sees it. And he goes, start your business. And that's what started the pop-ups. And then, like, I remember I put it out front and I seasoned it, and we started at Finishers. And I remember you came out and we had a line, and I built that entire business in Finishers parking lot doing the jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Yeah.
And like those guys would just be high, and they would be competing in weight cutting, and they would come out and they would just eat all the food. And we just started selling out. And then that's how we got the confidence to move forward. It's when the burger got dialed in. But like, you learn so much if it's busy, and you learn so much if it's not busy. And like, to me, it's like those pop-ups is what built what me and Gina are about to do. I mean, we've done some pop-ups where it's wild, and then you've done some pop-ups where it's like, oh, we did all right. But it's like, if you look back on like how hard we hit the ground running, like there was a time where I was doing 3 pop-ups a week sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I remember you were just crushing it, and we're just doing like funk, and we're getting into these bigger spots. And like that always like motivated me, where I was like, Gina, we can go into places where there's like real people, not like, hey, there's this tournament. Like there might be more than what goes to Finishers.
Yeah.
And then when you take it on the road, what was it like for you to take the business on the road? Because it's like you don't have the easiest setup, because you got to run pizza ovens and all the stuff and bring everything. It's like you have it down now, but what was that like for you in the beginning to be doing those places and like having Alex come along, because you need help?
Yeah, you do, and it's a lot. It's a lot of figuring out, man. Just
but I think that's where like the obsession comes from, where you're like engineering the whole project, and then it's like if it works, it's like a release.
It is, and you know, when we started out, we had one pizza oven. We were only making rounds, and then, you know, we'd go to places and we'd make them as fast as we can make them. It'd be high speed, high pressure, and we'd sell out most of the time. And I don't think places were used to that. Customers were used to that yet. That type of atmosphere of, oh, if we don't get here, they may sell out.
Yeah.
We only do so many doughs to go anywhere still at this point.
You have to.
You have to.
That's the stuff where I think people are misinformed, where like, if I bring 3, I've been told sometimes, hey, come out here, there's going to be 500 people.
Yes.
And then you bring 250 burgers just because you don't want to risk taking 500, and 60 people come out to the event, and then now you have all this food to take home. Yeah. And half of it, like the rolls aren't going to last forever.
No.
That's how I started selling stuff out of here. Like, you know, I just remember being mad, and I'm like, all right, I guess we're doing a pop-up here now. Yeah. And then for a while, it was a gauntlet where it's like, all right, well, if I go, it was a bust because of rain. Now I'm cooking at the studio and doing a pop-up for Nazareth.
And it's not, you know, with your product and my product, we're not using any type of cheap ingredients.
No.
So you don't want to be...
It's butcher meat.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there to keep it alive.
There's no. So it has to be cooked. It has to be used. So you got to try and figure out the crowd and what you think you're going to have there. And, you know, if you run out, you run out. If you don't run out, great. But it's a tough game.
Yeah.
It really
There's not a better feeling, though, when I'm like, there's 3 burgers left.
Yes.
And then there's like 5 people in line. It was cool. Like, and I'm sure you went through this, where like, once you start not training the customer, but you start controlling the customer in a sense, like we would go to those pop-ups. And I remember like Laura, who I've had on from 10th Planet, she would stand there and like she's weight cutting and stuff, or like, you know what I mean? Like she's pissed. And she's competing for the day, and she's like, I didn't get a burger last time. And that was the first time where I had people from Finishers come up and be like, yo, I didn't get one. And I was like, sorry. And they're like, I want one now. And then I was like, all right, well, you know, if you pay. You can write your name
Yeah.
down. And then people started coming while we were setting up and would like, we want our burger. I remember it was raining and there was a fucking line of people just waiting to get the fucking burger. And then I was just like, this is fucking crazy. And then my friends would pop in on Pockets and I'd be cooking and I'd look over at you and you're like, yeah, that's it. Like when it was finally the Coupe de Ville and was like locked the fuck in the way it was. Because in the beginning it was like smoked cheddar, bacon, and it was just all this like wasted fucking time on like getting the cheese was a pain in the ass. Cooking the bacon beforehand, I was like, oh man, I had to pre-cook all this. Like, it was a nightmare. But once that was dialed in and I was like banging burgers out, like it was cool to see all that happen and people want it. And then people started hitting me up, hey, you know, it was easier to get into places. And then it's like, you know, and then that's that whole thing. You can't do it for somebody once, then, you know, that whole pop-up game changed after like it kind of fucking leveled out. And to me it's just still kind of like there's a couple of people out there still fucking cranking it out.
There's guys going 5 days a week and God bless them.
Yeah.
Like, it's
like I saw Why Not Burgers got another fucking like a full trailer and stuff, and I'm like, dude, that guy's got to be killing it to be doing that shit. Like so like that is out there, but for me and with where we were at, and like I know like you kind of choose to do your own thing, like I was like, I'm like brick and mortar. I'm like, this makes sense.
Yeah, and it does make sense for you guys. Exact where you are in your life and career, that's the move right now, definitely. For us, not yet. Maybe down the road, but you also learn in the pop-up game, and this isn't any type of way with anyone. You learn where to go, where the crowds are, where your crowd is.
Yep.
Not one thing you have to learn in the pop-up game is not everyone is your customer.
Yeah.
And
not every place is your customer.
No, and you have to be okay with that.
Oh, we went to a winery. I forget which one, and we were doing burgers and like Sal's sausage sandwich, and like they wanted pizza. And like they wanted cheese to like pair their wine with. Yeah. And I was like, man, like I'm like, if we come, and I don't think we did another winery since, and I would love to go back to a winery, but like this time it'd be like, hey, we can do like you know, an infused bagel and like cut it up and like, you know what I mean? Like there's some places where you go and you just take it on the chin and you're like, the food doesn't work here. We need, like, that's why we started getting into different stuff, because you'd be like a repeat client, and then I'd be like, all right, well, I don't want to keep bringing the same thing up here. And then that's when we got into the Cuban, and then that's when we got into the roast pork sandwich, and like, I get bored with making the same shit. And then like we started having all these different things that would work, but like sometimes different things work at different places, and if you're not able to like adapt and like change some shit, like it's not really. It's hard to do. It's not. It's a very unforgiving business.
It's
the pop-up game.
Very unforgiving. And then you and I started. That was another thing that we started doing things together with other people.
Yeah.
To bring in more crowds and introduce your customer base to my customer base,
100%.
my customer base to your customer base, you know, and then we did
the
things,
piggybacking.
Yeah, and then we did things with Shug.
Yeah.
Introducing her customer base to us, and
that was wild seeing how strong her customer base is when we did Funk that one time.
Yes.
And you're like, they ain't here for us.
Yeah. They're
there
not
was
here
like
for us.
60 women lined up.
They didn't.
And Shug was sold out in 13 seconds.
They didn't come for us. They didn't come for
Yeah.
us. They came for the lady in the elf suit.
Yeah, I miss her.
But then also, you know, up at Bright Path and other places now, we do stuff with Cauldron Fair too.
Yeah.
Elise makes some killer cupcakes and some other things.
Pretzels.
Yeah, Jason does the pretzels.
Yeah,
They're awesome. He doesn't make them enough, but we have to work on that. I told him come over and use the mixer.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to do small batches. But it's, you know, that was a lot of fun. One of my, as stressful as it was, one of the best pop-ups I feel we ever did, even though you weren't doing burgers, was when we went up to Covalonics in the
that was crazy. That was crazy. That was the first time you like let me put toppings on a pizza. And Jess is like, you have to let him help.
I had to let go.
But it's hard. I mean, I'm like that on the flat top when like doing burgers and stuff, and like I'm working on like letting go of that and like just showing somebody how to make it and like letting them do it. Otherwise, you're never going to get out of. You're never going to grow. Like. That was one of the craziest pop-ups because of the tent.
The tent was crazy.
They have like their colors are what, red, black, and
yes, red and black.
So they got a red tent, and like we didn't think anything of it. And then when the sun hit it, it was literally like just having a red neon light
Yeah.
the entire time.
was
Like,
psychedelic.
I was wearing sunglasses because it was so awkward to see it. But that was freezing out, and there was a line around the fucking building.
Yes. And we, you know, you don't realize we set up a kitchen in a parking lot 35 degrees and did 115 Sicilian style pizzas.
Yeah.
In, 5 hours, 6 hours.
And more people wanted them.
Yes, we could have definitely did more. It's just how fast can you go? You can
Brothers
only go.
Barbecue was another one
yes.
where it got crazy because you started taking me around, and I appreciate it because we were in between doing the pop-ups, and there was so much nonsense going on with the podcast and everything else, and like sometimes Gina couldn't go out on the road, so you were always like facilitating this whole, and I will always be thankful for that because you started just taking me along to help and paid me. Like, I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is to be able to help him, and he's paying me to come on the road with him, and then I'm learning and seeing how your business is the way it is. But like, those were awesome. Like going to Brothers Barbecue and stopping at that crazy bar on the ride home.
Port Clinton.
Yeah, Port Clinton. That
Port Clinton
bartender, if he's
Hotel.
still down there.
I don't know. They took new managements there. They might get a can to him.
Yeah. But it was like, I remember doing that one. The Rising Rivers were always nuts. I'm trying to think where else we went. It was Kovalonics, and then where the hell else did we go on the road? I'm trying to think.
You didn't come down to the one. You had something going on. The Founders Freeze Out we did in Manayunk. And
Yeah.
Pizza John invited us into his place, so he was selling that day, and then we had set up 2 tables, and we were selling our slices. Shug came down. She was selling. She came down with us that day.
That's right.
But that was nuts too, because it was just so much foot traffic in Manayunk.
Funk was crazy for a while.
Funk was crazy for a
Yeah,
while.
I remember we did a burger pop up there because like a lot of times too is like I would go in with you, then they'd meet me, and then they'd be like, oh, like, because a lot of times with getting into those places, sometimes people get burned because like I feel like the pop-up scene started because food trucks were canceling. And then like people were always like, well, I don't know if I can get you in on this. But then I would meet them through you. So then we built a relationship with Funk, and then we went out there a couple times. And I just remember one time we went out there and like it was just boom, bang, done. And me and Gina were like, holy shit. Like Funk, when Funk was buzzing and it was different owners, I believe, than what it is now, and like they didn't have the resident food truck in there, like right, like 6 months before that all started, like you could go in there and crush business in there. It was cool. Funk was a good time.
That definitely, when they were in the old tap room, that was such a cool vibe in there.
Yeah.
They were just
In the summer, they had like the back door
doors
up,
open. You're
the
right in the
trains
tap
going
house.
by.
We
did something with Shug there.
Yeah, we did. We did a few things there. We were going during the week, so we kind of were the first ones to start developing. They started a trivia night.
Yeah.
And Andrew was running trivia, and I would be there with pizzas, and that's where we gained a lot of following because their trivia night got so big. It's still
That's
big.
crazy how big trivia nights
It's
get.
unbelievable. But I mean, first place trivia winner when they first started there at Funk, they were giving a full case of beer away.
Yeah.
So that's a $75, $80 case of beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would sell out on Wednesdays. It would just be insanity.
Retriever when they first opened.
Yeah, we did a few up there.
We did the Super Bowl up there.
Yeah,
but
we
I'm just
did.
saying, it's like Retriever. I remember when they first got started. They were always nice.
Yeah.
But every place was different.
Yeah, Sherman Street.
Yeah.
Sherman's always we always pull a great crowd at Sherman Street. They're great people. Bo's Beer's probably some of the best, not just in the valley, that I've ever had. And then after Union and Finch, we developed a relationship with McCall.
That's right.
And those guys have been
I forgot.
solid.
It's so crazy.
Solid.
the
It's crazy.
storyline.
It's crazy. The paths we've been down. Like, those guys are just such solid supporters of us through everything. Still to this day,
But then I forgot that you were resident in the second location they opened.
Yeah, we were. We were there Mondays, but we started out at the Susquehanna location. You know, it was cool because I got to work with their chef Anthony, and we developed the local stone cheesesteak there. That's where it first came out.
Yeah.
The local stone cheesesteak, you know, and then Matt let me pick his brain to give him a thought on hey, can you put hot honey in beer? That's when they started brewing the Sal de Lima, because we developed a relationship with Mike's Hot Honey through Mike Kurtz.
Mike's Hot Honey at that time was like actually attainable. Like I remember I had a call with him that I believe I got set up from you about him coming on the podcast, but that was so long ago that like you could talk to Mike.
You could
There's
talk to
no
Mike.
way you're talking to Mike now.
Yeah. You can,
Meaning like me calling him, not you personally, but like I forgot, like that's right when Mike's Hot Honey was popping, and I remember you were like, yo, check this shit out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we were probably the first ones in the Valley to put it on a pizza and use it on. We use it on everything, you know that. But those guys,
it's fun still when people have like Sal bought a bottle because I would bring it in sometimes.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, Sal will just buy something and be like, "Hey, this is for like when you guys just make your shift sandwiches or whatever." Yeah. So the other day I was just put it on. We were just making a bagel, and I know it works with the cream cheese because we've done it. And Jimmy's like, "What's this? This is weird." And then Ryan tasted it, and he's like, "Dude," he's like, "That on chicken?" And I was like, "Ryan, you can put that on ice cream." I was like, but then the rest of the day, you know, two of the guys are just putting hot honey on everything, and the bottle's out, and it's slowly, you know, you're halfway done with the bottle. Like hot honey is, to me, was such an awesome thing to run into, and then to use it and promote it and do some cool things with it. Mike's Hot Honey is an awesome product.
It honestly is, and they're awesome people. Like we did that pop up in the Eagles parking lot in K Lot. So it was Mike's Hot Honey, it was us, Pizza John, and Uncle Ron, they call him. He's a barbecue guy. But that was so much fun. You know, when they come to a place, they come with the trike, they bring a DJ, like they bring a party, and they're just going out handing samples out all day long. But they were so supportive of us. They sent so much stuff up here that we've given out or auctioned off through raffles or at pop-ups. But those guys, definitely less attainable than they were before. They've just grown. They've exploded.
They were like putting
they've exploded.
Like putting hot honey like in Japan, like they were like overseas.
Yeah, I think Scars opened a place over there somewhere. But now I just saw them release. Well, they doing the deep dish in Chicago, and they also, I think they're doing something with Crumble Cookies.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Utz did a thing with them.
Yeah, well Utz was supposed to be temporary, but they're keeping those chips on because they're selling so good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but those guys, you know, just to see the pop-up game, I guess I saw it through those guys in the Manayunk Philly area before it kind of hit here.
Yeah. When did you start changing, not changing, but like, I remember the first time I had a riser, but when you started getting into things outside of the rounds, what was your concept or idea of growing the pizza line?
So when we grew up in Northeast PA, there was a lot of, they called them bar pies up there, or they were squares. They would call them either sheets, trays, you know. It wasn't Old Forge style. It was like a Schuylkill County square. And we wanted to develop something of that sort. With our riser and with our bar pie, and the riser is just kept developing, and to this day keeps developing. Like we've upped the hydration in the riser now while I've been off here, and it's just even fluffier and crispier on the bottom. Like I'm almost to the point where I could say I think I'm done developing it.
Yeah,
almost.
Well, I remember when it came out. And you were like, hey, try this. And it ruined all of your other pizza for me. Like, I know Nate's obsessed with the bar.
Yeah.
But, like, my thing is the riser. And I don't know what it was about that. Because, like, what would you say it is? Like a hybrid between, like, a Sicilian or is it your take on Sicilian? Like, what does it mean to you?
It's It's our take on Sicilian, but it's not a heavy, dense Sicilian that you get a lot of. I love the four cheese burnt crust.
Yeah.
And it's, when we started the Riser, we were doing sauce on bottom, sauce on top, which some people still ask for sauce on top too, which we do that. But it's just a vessel for it could hold.
We did so many
so
collabs
much.
on that.
It could hold so much.
Yeah, that really changed the game for us when we would try and develop something. Even when we were doing garage days or anything like that, it was like, oh well, we'll do it on the Riser because it can carry weight. So now you can be putting the burger on it. You can be doing anything on it. It really. I remember getting it, and I think you gave me one to take home, and then and I know Nate freezes stuff, and then that's where the bagel was so special, and the burger too. But the burger, it carries itself well. You can microwave it.
Mm-hmm.
I even tell people hey, it's 20 seconds in the microwave, and this thing's a home run. I put that thing through the test of I've left it on my dashboard by accident and still ate it. That burger can go through quite a bit, and then when I started getting the Riser, and it's just me, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna heat it up in the air fryer. Mm-hmm. And then I remember texting you and being like, dude, this is it holds. And then it would even hold the next day, and then the Riser became this thing where I'm like, well, I can get a pie and eat it the rest of the week. And then it's you can freeze it, you can do stuff. I don't know, I didn't become obsessed with the rounds like I did the Risers, and then the Risers just took off, and then I feel like that's all I was getting from you. I don't remember the last time I had your round. I think you were like, hey, this has probably been forever since you actually had this, but I feel like the Risers took over your pizza for a while.
They did. I would say they definitely, because, and when I talk about, or I look at our pizza and I talk about our pizza and I talk about all different pizza, to me, there's no bad pizza. I don't think anyone is the best. There's so many different styles.
Yes.
I enjoy Caniglio's. His squares, his rounds, I think are fantastic. Pizza John's rounds are fantastic. Angelo's out of this world. I think we're just a different style. We have our square. We're a different style. It's a different taste. There's a different taste everywhere you go.
Yeah. I mean, being in Nazareth, and that's the only thing in here is pizza shops. And, people would be like, oh, what's the best pizza? And I know for a while they would be like, Pizza Joe's, and because I remember Pizza Joe's was the place everybody went after school. It was a different time. There wasn't social media. There wasn't multiple pizza shops in Nazareth. And then Sicily's opened, and it was a big deal that hey, there's another pizza shop in town. And it was always Sicily's versus Pizza Joe's. And then after I got into food and kind of let go of who's the best or who's the better, and when I say that your pizza to me is the best in the valley, it's just my preference on somebody putting together a product that I really appreciate. It doesn't mean I dislike anything else. I eat pizza all the time. And when someone's like, oh, well, what's the best? And I'll be like, well, I like Pizza Joe's Sicilian because I feel like he's doing the best Sicilian to me in town. And then I really love Sicily's margarita pie because I feel like they do a much better of it. Then you can go over to Toscana and be like, all right, well, Toscana's got grandma pie. And then you have places that'll fuck with me that I'll call Pizza Joe sometimes and be like, hey, can you put vodka sauce on your Sicilian and put meatballs on it? And then I remember posting that and then running into his wife down there, and she's always so nice to my mom, and she's always so nice to me, and she's always asking how everything's going, and she usually answers the phone. So I came in the one time, and she's like, yo, people are ordering that vodka that vodka meatball pizza because you pushed it. And it's not a lot, but I think it's still cool that they let people do that. And what my one friend's I called and they didn't know what I was talking about, and I was like, well, don't be a jerk and be like, hey, are you busy? Because, if you're not that busy, or if it's okay, can we put vodka sauce on it? And that's how I approach it. You can't be like, oh, I want vodka sauce. They'll just tell you to fuck off.
Yeah.
Not them personally, but, if somebody's calling and telling you to do something that what you normally deal with, and it's Friday, I know from the perspective of the guy on the line. But if somebody doesn't mind doing it, and then I started doing it at Toscana's, where I was like, I love vodka sauce, so like I started calling Toscana, and I'm like, can I have the grandma's pie with vodka sauce, and it changes the entire pizza. And then I'll bring it down here for the guys. So like, I can't tell you what's my favorite pizza.
Yeah.
I have people that tell me they really enjoy gas station tacos. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody is so different. But with having so many different pizza places around here, I'm just like, hey man, each one offers something that I prefer. But then I have people who also tell me like, oh, well, I don't like Pizza Joe Sicilian. I was like, all right, well, you've either had better or you like something else. But
okay
it doesn't
that you
mean
don't
that
like
all
it.
this places suck.
Yeah.
It just means that like each one is different for me. I mean, I feel like that's way with everybody. Like everything's different
Yeah.
about everything that people do with food, which is awesome with collaborating with you, because I feel like we put some excellent stuff together and we're able to get it out to people. We did a lot of stuff up at what's the Jim Thorpe one?
Bright Path.
Yes, Bright Path. We did so much cool stuff up there.
Yeah.
And then like that was another one where like you got us into another place. Like we went up for there, and it's probably hard for them to get people to come out that far, but I always just like to drive.
Yeah.
It wasn't really I mean, we always try and break even or make a little bit of money, but like we've done really well up there sometimes.
Yeah, we have.
But then there's been other times where I went up and, you know, like, hey, can you cover a day? And we make a little bit, but I'm just like, I don't care. That drive to get the fuck out of Nazareth and like be up in the mountains, like that's a cool spot. But those people up there are like, what is all this stuff?
Yeah.
They're like, we never had this before. It's cool when you introduce your food to different people.
I looked the other day just to get an idea. I think we've at this point done 53 different toppings
Yeah.
on a riser pizza, like just crazy stuff. And you know, we started with the rounds. We have a solid customer base who still love the rounds. I love our rounds because they're not Neapolitan, they're not New York style.
Yeah.
They're kind of in the middle, but you can't load them like you can't do the toppings, the crazy stuff that we do
No.
with the rounds. You know, you need the riser or the bar. But
When did you start fucking with the bar?
that's so there's a bar up in an actual bar up in Monte City, Pennsylvania. It's called Ruts, and Jess grew up on that pizza. They would do take and bakes. You would pick it up Friday, take it home, and bake it. And that's the kind of style it was. And they would get no toppings. It would just be plain because that's how you ate that pizza. So I wanted to make a pizza like that to kind of bring it back to her childhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're very close to what that was up there. Even when I eat the bar now, I don't like. I like the bar plain. The only other topping I like on it is the 52, which is the shaved ribeye, chopped pepperoni, and now I do it with the Cooper black pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
What else do you do with the Cooper black pepper?
everything.
Yeah. I feel like
Everything.
you took that and ran with it.
We did. I think I haven't seen anyone do a pizza with it besides us yet, but that pizza, the Hoff. So that's the Cooper black pepper on the riser with pepperoni and finished with Mike's Hot Honey, and it is definitely might be the favorite for me right now. What we do,
What would be considered on your menu at this point?
a Stone, a regular, the Mac, our pepperoni, a Clink pepperoni and sausage is always on, and from there we always have one veg. Usually, I always have one veggie.
The
on.
lady?
The lady.
I still haven't had that.
The lady's delicious. Pearl's delicious, which is a whole different vibe.
What's on the Pearl?
That is shiitake mushrooms, sun-dried tomatoes, and that's finished with a bourbon maple balsamic vinegar from Seasons in Bethlehem, which we get a lot of stuff from Seasons. They
Yeah.
have some really cool olive oil, some really cool vinegars. Like, we try to use as much local as we can. Same with the Detroit. That's another one. The Detroit style. I'm starting to love that almost as much as the riser. Just a little bit thicker. You had that at McCall's when
Yeah.
we were doing Monday nights at McCall's.
Yeah, I think I came down with Nate and Shelby.
Yeah. Which, I mean, McCall's was crazy. We had so many crazy days there. The opening, when they opened the Tap House, Memorial Day weekend, and it's just been, we've had a lot of support from a lot of people, and we we truly appreciate it. We truly appreciate the relationships we built. You know, you become like a brother to me, and you know that. I tell you that all the time. It's just I like making food, and I like making people happy when they eat it. I know sometimes people get frustrated with the waits, but we could only do as much as as fast as the ovens go, you know.
You know what's crazy? It's so wild to even sit down here and talk about this, because we've been going like full speed since we met each other to like help each other grow each other's businesses and just like keep trying to get somewhere where I don't think we both know where we're going, but we know we need to go forward. Is the fact that we did the hot honey infused bagel.
Yes.
That was crazy. Yeah. And then like Gina became a part of what we're doing, because like when we do the bagels, and like a lot of people are going to find out, is like we're not putting toppings on top of it. Gina has been developing how to put the dough, having it inside of it. And if you know anything about that, it's not easy to do, because you need to have your dough rise. And if your dough is weighted by things, it starts becoming complicated. Like even adding honey into the dough, anything really. And then you start getting into what the temperature is outside. Like there's a lot of factors. And when you start infusing liquids or solids into dough, it becomes a whole nother ball game that like I just keep pushing her to do. And as frustrated as she is, she usually figures out a way to do it. But when we did that hot honey pepperoni bagel, and she just kind of did her own thing with it, and like was I remember you gave us the pepperoni and the hot honey, and like, you know, like I want to put that on the menu. Like that's fucking awesome.
It should be on the menu.
Like that's awesome that we developed that, because we went over like what do we want to do out the gate, and we have all these special things. But I also don't want to just completely give everybody everything we've ever done, because then it's a big headache for us. But then at the same time, you know, you do want to keep some things in reserve, because then you know. I'm not going to run this the way a normal person would be running a bagel shop. It's going to be ran more on what I've learned from pop-ups.
Sure.
So it's like, all right, we're going to do this style bagel, and like the Hawaiian bagel. Like we figured out how to put pineapple in it, and that works awesome with pork roll. And then it's like, all right, but that's just going to be a summer thing, and like use it when, you know, we can get really fresh ingredients, and then you can't get that all the time. And then like, hey, it might only be for this month.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you can bang that out, and then when it's gone, it's gone. And if you're not following us, like you really start, and I feel like it's a big part of why you guys are the way you are and your customer base is the way it is if you are a part of following me and paying attention to my social media and actually giving me something back for the hard work I'm putting in on posting and all this stuff, like limiting stuff and then making your customers come and put the work into finding you and getting it, is almost like the payoff for what you do on social media. So it's like when you have a following like that and it's hardcore, and they're, you know, it's like having a following come to see, like, hey, we're going to see this band play 3 times. Like you start building a relationship. It's not just like, hey, well, I follow them and I guess I'll get out to get their food. I'm just saying, when you're dealing with a pop-up and you can only get it at specific times, or like, hey, you better get out. Local Stone's going to be over at Rising River only on Tuesdays, and Rising River is not having anything else besides that. You start funneling towards that. And there's just something about that and the way of doing that where I think you start controlling the customer. But like, I feel like you guys built such a strong business off of doing that.
We do have a very strong customer base, and I think we have it because, same as you, we put everything we can into those pizzas. Like there's times where I've thrown the dough out and canceled the pop-up because I didn't like the dough. We're not just gonna go somewhere and put something mediocre in our eyes out. We're going to put the best of the best that we can do every time we're out. And I feel you're the same. I tell you every time, I'm not going to bring any businesses or names into it. I've tasted a lot of smash burgers, and in my opinion, yours is the best that I've ever had. That's my opinion.
I appreciate it.
And
it's hard for me to
people could argue that this one, and they may see this and say, well, this one, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody, has theirs.
You've been
Mine
saying
is-
it for a while, and then we started going to some places, and then like on the ride home, I was like, I'm like, I'm starting to believe you a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I have something here, because if this person has that big of a following, and everybody's like, man, that's so awesome. I'm like, I think I just need to put a little bit more into this, and then like, I'm excited to release the burger over there. It's not gonna be right away. But that's the other thing too, is like I kind of want to keep that as a pop-up. Like I'm going to build the lunch menu out, and it's probably going to end up on my lunch menu, and we probably are going to be doing burgers constantly. But in the beginning, I can't have two monsters. It's like we want the bagel to shine, and you know, we have ideas down the road for other things, and the other things we want to do, I'm like, oof, that could be the star over there. But like we want to do our Saturday nights like we did pop-ups, but now I have a venue. I have Raw Wine Bar, which is a full bar with PA beers and PA liquors, and that guy's got a really cool vibe over there. I just had them on the podcast. Like, you know, we have a venue built into a restaurant, but we also have our own venue, and we have a parking lot, and we're right off the highway, and I'm just like, this is gonna get weird in the sense of like,
good weird.
yeah. So I'm like, I appreciate you saying that about the burger. Like, you know, like a lot of people have come out and supported me from all the restaurants and all the different places around here, and there's too many of them to put up. But like, you know, McCall always came out and got a burger, and he would
always.
come out with his brother, and you know, they always put it. You know, he always said to me, he's like, you know, he's like, you were the first person to put us on before anybody knew who we were, and that was because of Bill Lohr. Like Bill Lohr introduced me to Matt, and he came down here. With his sister-in-law, and like they did a podcast. I think I was so new to video, and like they were so early on, and I didn't know that they were about to be as big as they are. But like he comes out and supports it, and it's like, you know, it's cool to sit back here and look at the road that the both of us have been on, because like it's not been easy, but there's been a lot of people that have supported both of us or came out to multiple pop-ups. But it's exciting, man. Like I'm always excited to see what you're doing new. It's always exciting to see like where you're going to go with stuff. Like I know you guys took a break. What's it like for you to slowly start coming back?
It's when you sit back and you take that break, it's a lot of, okay, what direction do we want to go in now? So Rising River will always be a steady for us, just because they're also great people. We have an awesome following there. Maybe down the road, we've talked to a couple people about a couple opportunities. It's just not the right ones yet. You know, it has to be the right one. That was the right one for you guys to take the leap into, and you know, just
Sometimes finding the right one ain't the right road either.
no, and it's just watching you guys go through what you're having to go through to outsource everything, just even the oven. You know, I don't think if we didn't go to Caniglio's that day, I don't know if you would have never went down that road.
No, I don't know where we would have been, because that happens so randomly. Well, first it's like you work on a project for 3 years, and then the landlord pulls out, and it's like, awesome.
Yeah.
So now we don't even have a venue. Then now you have a venue, but you're not rushing, but you know, when that was all timing up there, it felt natural. Mm-hmm. Now it feels like an eternity, because we've been waiting 3 years plus 2. So you're technically looking on, this is going to be going into year 6. Me and Gina have been waiting to run a restaurant. So that's not easy to do. And then now you're realizing how hard it actually is to do it, and why most people don't do it. And then like I look back from interviewing McCall, and I look back from interviewing Union and Finch, and you know, Ed's entire thing of like he had to like get the neighborhood to trust him, and then like to completely redo the entire bar, and then now feeling that stress. My buddy who owns Rocky and Taki Ramen, I mean, he's got 2 restaurants. Like you start realizing like how hard these people actually worked, and like it's not easy at all. And like I remember talking to the McCalls, and they just made it sound like it was just smooth sailing. And then now I'm in this, and I'm like, this is rough. You're just waiting on contractors and like people pulling out and other people not being able to do it. And then like the whole thing with the oven, it's just like being a car salesman, where it's like, here's this, this, and this. And then they're nickel and diming you on the back door. And then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you got to put it through your roof, and you got to pay separate for that. Like, it's such a learning experience that when I get into my next project, I'll know what I'm doing. But like that whole thing with Caniglio's, like, you know how I am. I don't want to talk to anybody.
I know.
So
I know.
a lot of times my friends push me, and sometimes I appreciate it, but then there's sometimes where I'm just like, ugh. And I remember like he's like, hey, Mike's opening a spot, and I was like, oh man, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to eat pizza. And then I could tell he was just like, hey, what's up? And I was like, all right, this guy isn't like selling me a version of himself.
No, you get what you get with him.
This is him. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to make your pizza today. Because I remember the lady up front was like, hey, was it Nino?
Nino, yeah.
He's like, Nino's here today, and he's going to make the pizza. And I was like, well, that's dope. And then I remember you being surprised. And then when I told him I was doing bagels, his interest changed.
Yeah, he got
and he was
excited.
like, hey. And he's like, I'm doing bagels. And then now I wasn't talking to somebody who is an elite pizza guy. Yeah. We're just now talking bagels. And I know enough to stay in a conversation. Just, Gina knows more.
Yeah.
But like, I can hold a conversation with you because for the last 4 years, we've been obsessively hunting bagels down. So then we start talking about it. And I remember just telling him how frustrated I was with ovens, and I was like, I think we're gonna get a rack oven, and he's like, don't fucking do it, and he's just like, that's bullshit. They're selling you down a pipe dream. You're never gonna be able to recreate what you're creating the way you guys did it, the way you told me with a rack oven. And he goes, that is the worst idea ever. And he goes, with these, he goes, that way you can do it the way you want to do it. And he goes, why would you want to cut corners? Then I remember it was like a therapy session where he made me answer it. He's like, is that how you want to do it? And I was like, no. And then he's like, well, why wouldn't you do it this way? And why wouldn't you take the time to do it? And why wouldn't you make it the way you guys make the bagels? And that's the way everybody likes it. And I go, I don't know. And he goes, well, then why wouldn't you do it that way? And I was like, yeah, we should. And I remember calling Gina as soon as I got in the car from you, and I was like, and she's used to this, and I was like, yo, we're not getting the fucking rack oven. I just talked to this fucking pizza guy. He's got these mini tube pizza stones, and there's 5 decks, and it's going to fit in that spot, and I don't want to do this anymore, and I think it's fucking stupid, and we shouldn't be doing that, and why are we cutting corners? And she's laughing because she's been telling me the whole time, don't do it this way. And like 90% of the time she's correct, and I have started listening to her more, but she's like a sister, so it's not easy to listen to a sister. So then I remember her just laughing and being like, yeah, we shouldn't do that. And then I was just like, what am I doing? And she's like, I don't know. And then it's like you start getting some of these influences of people telling you what to do who doesn't. Like me and her are the only ones who know what's going on. I'm not saying Jared doesn't, but the two of us in that kitchen, it's the same way we work. It's one thing that you're creating, and you've linked into a central brain, and it's two people working together in unison.
I'm sitting there, as we're sitting there in Caniglio's, and next thing you know, you started talking to him. You're talking to Nino over where he's making the pizzas. Next thing you know, you're gone. I'm like, where the hell did Mike go?
He's got me in the basement showing me a dough divider.
Yeah.
Because then he was the one who told me about doing the dough divider, and he's like, get the dough divider. He's like, it's going to save you hours of work. And I was like, all right. Well, we definitely didn't get the one he has. That was way more expensive. I would like to get that down the road. You can get ones that round them yourself. But for now, we're starting out with the manual one. It was a good middle of the road decision. But yeah, he told me so much information. And I remember telling Gina, I'm like, we need to get a dough divider. And, then Jared was like, what's a dough divider? And I was like, this is what's going to make it easier. And like, we put it together yesterday. So it's like, we're sitting there, and me and Gina are just like, all right. And then you're just waiting to fucking work. And then she's just like, soon, Michael, soon. Yeah. Meaning like the dough's going to be being made. Then we're going to be putting it on a table. Then it's going in the dough divider. Then it's going in, then we got to like, all my friends keep being like, when are there going to be bagels? I'm going to be jamming bagels up everyone's ass because we're going to be making 400 at a time. Yeah. I'm not throwing them out. I'm going to be like, hey, Shelby, you got an extra freezer? Yeah. Like, I'm going to be dropping them off at Giacomo's and be like, eat these. But like, we want to make volume. We want to do bigger stuff. It's like getting into that oven was so crazy, and it still is crazy. Yeah. It was wildly expensive, but why am I going to use a piece of equipment that I can't max out what I want to do? So if we're not busy, then the equipment we have will make it easier for everyone to work. If we are busy, what we have is the max amount, and we're not going to be able to make more. And I'm okay with that. I'm like, if we hit that money line, I want people to be like, oh man, we didn't get any. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Come faster. Come sooner. Come here. Like I said before, like, I don't want it to be like a restaurant. Yeah. I want it to be like, holy shit, if you don't get over there on a Sunday, they are sold out in 2 hours. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And you know, from the pop-up game, what does that build? It builds the story.
It does. It does build a story. It does build a story. It builds a narrative for you guys. I can't wait to see it grow. I can't wait to see it open.
I just
For
want it to
us,
open.
like, yeah, I know.
I'll take a soft opening at this point.
I know. We have some things scheduled coming up. I'm hoping I get it all clear to start at the end of April here. If not, we'll be back. I know we're scheduled at Funk for Cinco de Mayo. So I'm hoping that they're going to do a fun beer for that day. Probably go in doing squares. Probably first week coming back squares. We'll add some rounds in here and there. I tweaked that a little bit too, not too much. We'll see what the year brings. We have some private stuff, a lot of private stuff booked, which is fun to do.
Yeah.
Because it's another experience of meeting more people and going to someone's house and cooking, or an event and cooking. We do.
You do corporate stuff too.
Yeah, we do stuff for Lowe's and some other corporate places, which is fun. It's fun going in. People can't believe you set up at a table and you're walking in with ovens and you're putting out the product that you're putting out.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
it's fun.
Where do you see see all this going? Where do you want it to go?
Brick and mortar, but the way we want it on our terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that is going to be harder to accomplish. We thought maybe it would work, in an established place with someone or a partner, not a partner in local stone, but a partner in a space. But I don't think that's going to work. I think it's going to have to be our space.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
I think it's on its way. Just from the conversations we have, you're like, hey, this was close. This was close.
Yeah.
But I remember those conversations when, like, hey, we're going to try and get on that menu. Or like, hey, we're going to try and get in here. Hey, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you guys came in and you took a lot of places by storm and you set a marker for a lot of places, and then like I feel like you guys know how to do that now, and like where you're at right now is like you guys are developing something bigger and something that you want to be local stone, but I know how you guys work, and you don't settle for middle of the road, and it has to work for you guys. And I love that you guys put your family first and you fight for that first, and you're not going to just take an opportunity because someone else is giving you an opportunity, because you guys don't need opportunity. And that is my favorite part about you guys, is because I feel like you have creative freedom. I feel like you have freedom, and you have your family, and that is local stone. So for something to get bigger than that, it has to be all of that's coming with it. And I don't think people realize that when they're like, hey man, I want you to operate this way. And you're like, no, dude, like I'm already whole.
Yeah.
Like you guys are whole over there. And like what you said today is like, you could stop doing what you're doing and just do what you did to start and be selling pizzas out of your house. Like you don't need other people to be local stone. You don't need local stone to be anything more than what it is, because I feel like local stone is your family. And
It
then
is.
other
I
people
mean,
become parts of your family.
The face of local stone for years was Alex.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you right there. Like, no one saw anybody during COVID except Alex would be the one, when it got a little more relaxed, that would bring out pizzas.
Yeah.
So Alex is the one that works with us he's the one taking food here, food there. So he's grown up in this.
I can't wait to start selling pizza at college.
It's, honestly,
He keeps asking about us coming down to the frat, which I think we should still do.
I think everyone in their lifetime should have to work in some type of the service industry to grow up.
Yeah, I think it should be like mandatory.
And like Alex gets it from me at events, but he's such a good kid, man.
But it'll make him. It makes him a better person in college.
It took him. He's taking
handling
over
high stress.
He's handling everything.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Stress is like, it takes a lot to stress him out now.
Yeah, which is good. You shouldn't have kids stressed out, so you should put them in stressful situations so they're not.
So he knows
out.
how to deal. But yeah, it's been a ride, man.
I think it's going to be cool to see what you do next. I'm excited to see what you guys do next. I get the behind the curtain, so I know something's eventually going to develop, but I also know that you guys are just taking it for what it is this summer, and you're doing your thing. And like I said, you don't need anything else to do that. I want to thank you for getting me back into food. I want to thank you for putting money in my pocket when you didn't have to. It hasn't been easy getting to where I'm at now. The next 6 months is probably going to be the hardest transition and thing that's coming down the line, and I feel like you've been a huge part of being support and like a brother to me, in a sense that, like, you really have pushed me in a direction that I think I needed to be pushed. So meeting you has definitely changed my life in a sense of like where my creativeness is. I think we work well together. It's hard to find people to work well together, and I think we just clicked from the very beginning. So I want to thank you for everything you've ever done for me. I want to thank you for letting me be a part of your family. I'm now Uncle Michael
You
over
are
there.
Uncle Mike, 100%.
Thank you for everything that you've done on the journey. It's awesome that you're one of the last podcasts, and I've been trying to get you to do this for probably 4 years. So me threatening to close the studio down has now caused this. I think you should do more podcasts, and you were a pro on here. I want to give you a chance to let everybody know where they can get a hold of Local Stone, where they can follow Local Stone if they're new to not knowing who you are, what you're doing, which is probably hard because my social media and your social media has crossed over so many times. But like, how does anyone find out about what you're doing?
Instagram or Facebook. Follow Local Stone on Facebook and local__ Stone on Instagram. That's how we put our events out. That's how we do things. You'll mainly see us at either a brewery or another restaurant. We do a lot of things with other restaurants, which is a fun and fantastic way to grow everyone's fan base and customer base in the Valley.
Cool. I have nothing to plug. Follow my sponsors, support the sponsors. They are still sponsors up until the last episode. Follow everything this guy's doing. We're going to go get lunch. We've done over an hour. This was fantastic. Thank you so much. Boom.
Never Again Radio. Get into it, brother.